how dangerous can a red panda really be? Extremely dangerous, friends, and I'm sure you won't believe the hundreds of millions of dollars the characters in Turning Red would have to pay for their crimes. Is Mei the biggest criminal? Tyler? Her dad? Let's see how much the characters from Turning Red would owe if they were charged for their crimes.
I'm Meilin Lee, and ever since I turned 13,
I became a criminal.
Who would have thought that a 13-year-old girl could commit some very serious crimes? And if it weren't for her red panda, Mei would still be the perfect daughter in her mom's eyes. Although, even before she had the panda, she already showed a few criminal tendencies.
You shut up! I'm so fucking scared right now, you shut up!
Like that time she introduced herself in the movie, and because of her actions, she threw and destroyed Tyler's basketball. Now Mei owes a basketball. Her next crime involves her early transformations into the red panda.
have you forgot your
The problem is, at that time she couldn't control it and therefore caused a bit of a mess in her classroom. Luckily, no one got hurt and no school property was damaged. So, for this inappropriate conduct, Mei will only have to pay with a week of detention at school. The problem is, because of her mom, Mei started to go completely insane. She intimidated several people and caused a lot of destruction along the way. She destroyed benches, knocked over tables, basically a huge commotion. But the worst happened when she got to a main avenue, where she caused a massive pileup of about 7 cars. And for this disaster, Mei has to pay a fine of $1 million and serve a year in prison. But that's not all, friends, because in all this frenzy, Meilin Lee endangered the lives of several people. While going up some stairs due to the weight of the red panda, she broke them and knocked down several business signs, nearly taking the lives of some people, even her own moms. So, for putting people's lives at risk, Mei gets 5 years in prison. To finish, she runs non-stop across the rooftops of several houses, causing some structural damage. So, we're adding another $10,000 fine. So, for all these actions, Mei will have to spend 6 years in prison and pay a fine of $1,410,000.
little mama's girl? No wonder May's such a loser.
Illegal throw!
Whoa, calm down, Mei! You were on the verge of committing second-degree murder against your classmate! And she also broke one of the classroom windows. So, for not controlling her emotions and causing an illegal shot that broke a window, which nearly took off Tyler's head, she gets 2 years in prison and a $300 fine. Well, the girls just wanted to make money to pay for their tickets to the expensive Fort Town concert. But I'm sure for them to be able to carry out all these profitable activities in school, they needed some kind of permit. And I don't think the school would give them permission to do this inside the institution. So, for making money without permission, the girls will have to return all the money they made and spend a week in detention.
Hey, Panda Girl! You want your money? Then get your butt down here now! Forget your money and forget you! May! Take it back! Don't talk about my feelings like that, you stop!
Mei, you almost killed poor Microphone Head again! And the truth is, he's just a spoiled kid who was making the complaints his parents taught him to make. But I don't see that as enough reason to take his life, Mei. So, for attempted murder, she gets 5 years in prison.
Sorry! I'll never be like you!
This, friends, is the last crime Mei committed in the movie. And here's where it gets serious. Because whether she's a 300-foot giant panda or not, Mei attacked her mom. In fact, the blow was so strong that her mom fell to the ground and was left unconscious. We could also say she caused a bit of destructions because of this, but once you see how criminal Mei's mom is, we'll let this slide. So, for assaulting her own mother, she gets 3 years in prison plus a small $500 fine for damages. In total, Meilin Lee has committed a total of 7 crimes. So, for all these actions, Mei will have to serve 16 years in prison, pay a fine of $1,410,800, be suspended from school 14 days, pay for Tyler's basketball, and return all the money they made. And if you thought Mei was the biggest criminal in the whole movie, you're totally wrong, friend. Honestly, I don't know how this lady isn't behind bars despite all the psychotic behavior she displayed throughout the film. And if you don't believe me, get ready, because things are about to get intense. It all started because Mei started feeling attracted to the handsome Devon. Thanks to the drawing she found of them in her daughter's notebook, Ming began to show her criminal side and some very questionable actions. She immediately wanted to go confront poor Devon, which led her to drive recklessly in an incredible way. It was still early enough that there were many kids in the store, but she definitely put several lives at risk driving like this. As soon as she enters the store as an adult, she starts intimidating poor Devon, who, remember, is only 17 years old and not even of legal age.
How old are you? 30?
I'm 17.
See? This is what happens when you don't wear sunblock and do drugs all day.
Finally, she begins making false accusations against the sport kid, calling him a criminal. She even went as far as implying he was a drug addict.
I should report you to the police.
Poor Devon. Lady, the most dangerous criminal here is you. For all these crimes, Ming will have to serve 2 years in prison for intimidating a minor, another 2 years for endangering people's lives, have her license revoked for driving like she's drunk, and receive a restraining order to stay away from the handsome Devon. And the next day, Mei is calmly attending her algebra class when... Oh my god, Ming! Are you spying on the kids at the school? Friends, the worst part is that she even dressed up like she's a creepy lady who likes spying on kids. They even had to call the guard because apparently Mei's mom entered the school without permission. And to top it off, she kicked the guard! Here you have it, friends, the classic Karen behavior in the presence of authority. So, for harassment, trespassing, and assault on an authority figure, Ming will have to serve 5 years in prison. Maybe that'll help her stop acting like a psychopath. But things get even worse here, friends. After Mei transforms into a panda in the middle of her class, her mom couldn't care less and barges into the school classroom as if nothing happened. In her desperation to reach her daughter, she starts driving recklessly again, right in broad daylight. So, for trespassing again and reckless driving, Ming will have to serve another 3 years in prison.
So,
Wacko?
Ma'am, please! Sorry, please!
This is what happens when you leave a criminal free with no punishment. Ming went back to spy on the kids at the school, and to escape, drove recklessly once more. This will definitely lead to her license being revoked again, along with having to pay a $2,000 fine and another 2 years in prison. And here comes the most serious crimes Ming committed in the entire movie. Get ready, because this lady is about to be in such deep debt that she could pay off the debt of several countries. The thing is, Mei showed that she's no longer a little girl and wants to do things her way, which led Ming to break her necklace and therefore release her Red Panda. This Red Panda, friends, caused massive destruction in the city. The damages were incalculable since we didn't get to see everything she did, but what we did see was the worst of it.
Ming! Where are you? Ming!
lives and start destroying Toronto's Sky Dome. So much destruction, putting the lives of many children at risk, especially those in the upper stands for the four-town concert. And I don't doubt that there were at least 100 people injured because of this lunatic lady's actions. To give you an idea, the Sky Dome has a capacity of 55,000 people for a concert. So, counting all these people who definitely went to see Fort Town, for the cancelled concert, Ming will have to pay $11 million as ticket costs $200. And do you want to know how much she owes for all the destruction she caused at the Sky Dome and in the city? Well, in the movie they actually gave us the figure. $100 million that the Lee family would have to pay for all these damages. $100 million, friends! It would have been much cheaper to give May $200 so she could go to her concert instead of all this drama, right? Anyway, we also have to count that because of her, her daughter ended up face down on the ground multiple times. So, for assaulting a minor, we're giving her an additional 3-year prison sentence. In total, Meilin Lee has a list of charges. And for all these crimes, Ming will have to serve 17 years in prison, pay a fine of over $100 million, receive a restraining order, and lose her driver's license. If you're raised by wolves, you'll become a wolf. If you're raised by pandas, you'll become a criminal? That's right, friends. May's friends committed a few crimes as well. They weren't too serious, but justice must be served for everyone.
Abby, hit me.
Ouch! Well, in this case, May herself gave Abby permission to throw a punch. Maybe it didn't go exactly as May expected, but we'll let her off the hook, since they are friends and she had permission. Oh, and let's not forget when they were making money at school along with May. We already know they'll also have to return all the money they made. And lastly, I think we should send Abby to a psychologist. With her impulsive attitude, we're not sure what she might do next, especially after she mentions they were gonna blow up the school.
Let's burn this place to the ground!
This surely has some parents very worried. So Abby will need to go to a psychologist to learn to control herself. Oh, Tyler, you committed a few crimes as well, my friend. But being a rich kid, you'll probably get away without paying anything. For starters, he bullied several people, including Meilin. But one of the worst acts of bullying was harassing May by putting up her drawings all around the school. This clearly caused May a lot of psychological distress, so Tyler will have to spend a full month in school detention and pay for the psychological damages he caused May. Finally, we have May's grandmas and aunts, who despite making a cool entrance, broke the temple door. Poor Ming couldn't even close the door properly after that. So, these ladies will only need to pay for the door. And tell us, friends, do you think the Lee family will be able to pay the $100 million they owe to the government? Maybe that's why they made this movie. And let me tell you, if that's the case, the debt has probably already been paid off. What other movie or series would you like us to charge for their crimes? See you in the comments!